let's talk about the HTC Vive, HTC's VR experience. It's awesome. It's everything you want it to be. But, and I still say this and I'll say it for a while, it's still a one-trick pony. HTC came out with the Vive at a time when it really needed to. Oculus had never done anything. You still had Samsung coming out with their headsets that you put your phone in the back and get the VR. You had Google Cardboard. This, to put it easily, just trumps everything. It really does. Even Sony's PlayStation 4 VR headset that they're coming out with probably won't be able to contend with it. And some of that has to do with the computing power required to make it happen. A lot of it has to do with how the headset is. And a lot of it has to do with the experience and the games associated with it. The drawbacks to the Vive are pretty easy. One, it's totally immersive, but at the same time that is also a drawback to it because you honestly don't know what you're doing around you. You have no idea what's happening around you. So it's very easy to lose track of time, lose track of space, and lose track of where you are within the room you're in. Secondly, is that the headset is tethered to the computer. Now, most people, I really didn't have an issue with it, but I see where people will have an issue with it. It literally is the one factor that takes you away from being 100% immersed in this experience, because you're constantly worried about where are you stepping and feeling with your feet to see if you can feel this cable that keeps you connected not only to the computer but also your headset and everything else. And that is what keeps me from just wanting to buy this thing. I can deal with having to buy a new computer just for this. I can handle that because the experience of it overshadows everything else. But until they get rid of the umbilical cord, until they get done being tethered, it really is just a one-trick pony. A very good one-trick pony. If you're going to have something that is not a multitasker, that only does one thing, it better be outstanding. And this is. The sense of being in something is good, although you can tell that it's not 100% Star Trek-y, holographic, everything you want. But the experience of doing it is just above everything else. It really, really is. How you interact with it, how you play the games, how you deal with the sound and the noise is all there. It's astounding. It really is. You think if you've done cardboard, and Samsung's VR headset, you think that you're going to be close to that and you think you're near that experience, but you're not. You're so far away from it. Another community member had been in there and tested it, and it's the handsets that have the ability to add more. Is when you look inside, when you're looking down, you can see the actual handheld devices that actually interact with everything. That they float. There's no hands. There's no nothing. You just see that. But the interesting part of it is that you see the shadows of the handsets. So the people who have put in the development work into the games have done an outstanding job. We went into a game called The Blue, which is a $10 game for the VR headset. And granted, there's some more expensive games, and we have some free ones as well. But when you got into this game, it's all about being under the ocean and seeing kind of the bottom of the ocean and what it's like with those creatures down there, and being able to shine a flashlight. And the fact that the flashlight itself doesn't shine a long way. It dims pretty close, which is exactly how it happens when you're down in the ocean. It gives you this feeling of being in the depth of the ocean. Some of you who have snorkeled and some of you have dove and gone down to maybe, if you snorkeled, you might go down to 15, 16, 20 feet maybe for a few seconds, and then come back up, and you feel this little light pressure on you. But for some of us, like myself, who've had the opportunity to dive down past 100 feet, the pressure is totally different. And when you get down there, there becomes a sense of urgency, a sense of time, of, okay, I only have X amount of time at this depth. And then the rest of the time is either coming up or going down. And you have this sense of urgency to do whatever you need to do or you're going to do and get it done. Well, this game did not give me that sense. It allowed me to feel like I was down in the dark part of the ocean and to see bones and jellyfish and crabs and shine a light on them and see the particulate matter that is really around all that stuff. And that was a great experience. It's great because you can kind of walk around and see stuff. But one of the fallacies of it is that if you want to go further than you are, say you want to go what would be about 10 feet in this experience, you have to click a button and see this little green line, an arcing line, kind of like you're throwing a basketball in an old basketball game, and see if you can get there and click it, and it takes you there miraculously, kind of like the mist did a long time ago. So you get that going, and that little bit ruins that experience for that second. And then once you get to where you need to go, then it brings you back into where you want to be. You get a sense of you're there, but at the whole point, the whole time, there's no sense that you're actually there, which is neat. There's another game called Longbow, which is in the free game of the lab, which was pretty neat. You can try these different things. But after about 10 minutes of realistically pulling back a bow and shooting an arrow at these cardboard 2D little creatures, kind of like stickmen, you actually were tired. Not so much that you were exhausted, but you felt yourself that you had moved through this entire process. Not that you had just stood still and pressed a button or moved a dial pad or a D-pad, and next thing you know, your game is over and you can get off the couch. It wasn't like that. You were physical in the game. And that's where this VR really stands out amongst everything else, because the handsets give you the sense of familiarity, but then they also give you the sense of that you're doing something. You have to let go of the trigger to loose the arrow. You have to hold the trigger to knock the arrow. So you get this double whammy of things, so you feel like you're doing something more so than you would with a game controller. I really enjoyed the experience. I really did. But for me and for everything else, I don't see how I can justify an expenditure of a computer that's got enough power to handle it, and then the VR, the entire set, all on top of everything else. I just don't see how I can justify that expense. If I were a gamer, if I were an avid gamer, where I already had the computer set up, and I was just buying the headset, then I could almost justify it. But, and there's a caveat to that, you have to have the room for this. There are two modes. There's a stand only, where all you gotta do is stand, and then there's the entire room mode. And unless you do the entire room mode, it kind of defeats the purpose, because you don't get this sense of going somewhere within this thing. You don't get the sense of, I've been somewhere, I've gone back from somewhere, now I'm going somewhere, and you don't get that walking sensation. It's good if you're in a small apartment that there's a standing room, and those games are designed for that. That's beautiful. But it's only kind of like, riding a unicycle versus riding a full motorcycle, kind of the way I look at it. I see how this has the potential of doing more, much, much more. it was amazing. I let my daughter, who is 5 years old, play it. And granted, there's not a lot of games out there for youngsters, and I'm happy that there's not. I really am, because she enjoyed it so much, she wanted to do it more and more and more and more and more. And I can see where that gets not addicting, but it gets something that you want to do all the time. And that's fun and that's great, but I'd rather her be doing other stuff than playing in VR. I see how VR has the applications of learning though. Learning about space, learning about time, learning about gravity, learning about the ocean, learning about different places on Earth that maybe you don't have the opportunity to visit or can't visit, or is too dangerous or are non-existent really anymore. That is the value of this VR set. I see this as more value in education, learning, study, growing, artistic vision, because there's a paint where you can actually make artistic designs in this 3D scope environment. But as far as gaming goes, as far as just as a gaming thing, it's great if you're an avid gamer and you love to do that and you spend your days and your nights gaming. Otherwise, it's not for everybody, and it's not going to be for everybody. One, you have the cost. Two, you have to have the space. Three, you have to have the computer. And then four, you have to have the desire to be in this, and some point in time, you will get tired of it. Just like anything else, it's going to be, I'm tired of really watching where I step so I don't trip over the cord. I'm tired of having this headset on all the time. I'm tired of doing various things. And it's going to be old very quickly. And I don't see how in the future it can adapt and grow with whatever else is happening. I see it stuck exactly like it is. It's awesome. I loved it. I loved the experience. And the couple people that actually did it with me also had a great time with the experience. But again, I'll reiterate, it's a very, very, very good one-trick pony. And if you want that, go get it. But if you're like me, who wants multiple uses out of things, who wants to get more bang for their buck, if you will, or more functions, it's not it. I love HTC. I love what they did with HTC Re camera. I love what they do with their phones. I've been a huge HTC phone fan. I'm a fan of the Vive too. I didn't get sick doing it like some people do who maybe get sick in virtual reality. I didn't. There was no sensation with that whatsoever, which is a testament to how good of a machine and how good of a tool they built. So, $800 plus the cost of a computer. And if you don't have one, you're looking at a minimum of $2,000 to even get started. Is this something you want to spend $2,000 on? If it is, go get it. Go have fun. If it's not, don't. Because there's going to be something else that comes out in 2 years. This is the founder. This is the start of virtual reality. And HTC nailed it. They kicked the ball out of the ballpark with this thing. And it's going to be very hard for anybody else who's doing virtual reality to catch up. It's going to be extremely hard. They set the bar so high with this thing. It's absolutely crazy. So, would I recommend it? Yes and no. Did I love it? Absolutely. Am I going to get it? No. I can't see the justification of it for me. But do I see the prospect of the future in the Vive? Absolutely. And I can't wait to see what else comes out next. Because if this is awesome, it's going to be ugly. It's going to be ugly good. And I can't wait. Until then, don't forget, come join us on the River Chat. We're there every day. You can go to the link on the website, ByronDoss.com. Look at the very top. It says River. Click it. Sign up. Come join the chat. Make sure, as always, you do what you always do. Go shopping. Click the Amazon link down below. Help us pay for this shindig by doing what what you always do, shop and spend some money. And then also, if you haven't changed over to Backblaze for your personal backup, you should. Links down below. I've done it. I'll put my company over on it. It's an awesome tool. You should try it and see. Y'all be good.